What's up, QAA listeners?
The fun games have begun.
I found a way to connect to the internet. I'm sorry, boy.
Welcome, listener, to Premium Chapter 200 of the QAnon Anonymous podcast, the Of Cat Turds and Demons episode. As always, we are your hosts, Jake Rockatansky,
Julian Field,
and Travis View.
Well, fellas, it looks like we made it to our 200th premium episode. I personally had hoped we'd be in Guantanamo by now, punished for our many, many crimes. But in a way, justice has been served. This podcast has caused us to spend countless hours online, and the damage is obvious from our horribly decayed visages, various verbal tics, wrecked digestive tracts, and the spiritual weight of many thousands of unread messages across multiple platforms.
Little did he know, Julian was in Guantanamo Bay. He'd just been there so long that he had imagined a table, a laptop, microphone, and two other podcast hosts around him, all figments of his own imagination.
Okay, well, maybe this is a DMT dream, and I'm currently dying in a waterboarding session.
What Julian didn't know is that he was already dead. He died 1.5 years ago and imagined the success of his podcast in a feverish hellscape.
I certainly imagined our friendship. It can't possibly be real.
It was his infinite torture.
Nightmare.
To believe he had to do this podcast twice a week.
God.
For the rest of his life.
Yeah, how are you guys feeling about 200, Travis? Are you flagging like me? I mean, I'm feeling worse than I ever had. I need to get some shit together in my own life, but yeah. How are you?
I'm very, very proud. Very, very few people ever make it to this point. I really would have never have thought to get into podcasting had I not met you two. Had I not been at a time in my life when I was just willing to talk to anyone who was willing to talk to me about this weird QAnon thing in 2018, I would not be here. So thank you for, I guess, my weird hyperfixation at the time and you DMing me. So yeah, it's been a ride.
You're welcome, Travis.
Had Travis been just a little bit more precautious about people that he met off the internet, specifically Twitter, his life would have turned out much, much different.
So for today's episode, we're going to be discussing a grab bag of topics. We'll be touching on the flare-up of satanic panic around the Grammys and how it fits into a growing trend of right-wingers imagining themselves to be soldiers in a spiritual war with the decadent and satanic liberal left. We'll also briefly touch on the Rolling Stone profile of the man behind the prolific right-wing troll account known as CatTurd2, who we will be revealing the real name of, and some other interesting details about his past. The episode will conclude with a lengthy Jake story featuring some of the recently risen from the ashes QAnon influencers. But before we jump into all of that, we need to talk about what may be the most egregious case of online poisoning ever, that of former richest man alive and Twitter owner Elon Musk. The latest development in the shambolic takeover and dismemberment of Twitter comes to us courtesy of Platformer, a tech newsletter. Casey Newton and Zoe Schiffer spoke to several employees inside the company, and folks, it is not looking good for anybody still employed by Musk.
You have been listening to a sample of a premium episode of QAnon Anonymous.
We don't run any advertising on the show, and we'd like to keep it that way.
For $5 a month, you'll get access to this episode, a new one each week, and our entire library of premium episodes.
So head on over to patreon.com/QAnon Anonymous and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I love you.
Jake loves you.